So Austin Desanto has been a little bit tricky for me as an Iowa fan. He's a guy who I feel like if he went to any other college, I'd probably have an easy time cheering against him. But because he goes to Iowa, I oftentimes find ways to make up for the things that he does wrong. Whether it was the first poor celebration that he had against Ethan Lezak, I was thinking, hey, maybe there was something that Lezak did to him personally or said to him personally that set him off. When it was the issue with Nick Sirianno, yeah, he got out of hand, but then he at least like gave him a respectful pat on the chest afterwards. After the Northwestern match, it was still kind of bad how he was going after the guy even after the horn was going, but hey, it was better than the first two times. After Nebraska, okay, well, maybe he's just getting back at Tyler Berger, so he's just doing what's right for the team. But one of the things that bugged me before he went to Iowa was that incident at Drexel with Stephen Micic. And now with this match against Daton Fix, this clip that we're seeing right here, it's eating at me too. So here's the thing. As I mentioned in past videos, I don't have a wrestling background. I got into wrestling because I went to the University of Iowa, trained jiu-jitsu there. And when you're a student at Iowa, you get to go into all the wrestling meets for free. So understand the fact that wrestling and jiu-jitsu have a lot in common. There's a lot of similarities. And if you can learn from wrestling, you can definitely use it to improve your jiu-jitsu game. I took advantage of having those free tickets, and I went to the wrestling meets often and was obviously a fan. But this right here, this is tough for a jiu-jitsu guy to watch, I gotta tell you. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk about what he could have done here from a jiu-jitsu standpoint. I'm gonna go back to that Kimura from the match with Micic and talk about what he could have done there. We'll call this a jiu-jitsu lesson that nobody asked for, an unsolicited lesson. And then I guess for him, he's a guy who's got a lot of. It seems like he's got a lot of pent-up energy and aggression, and once his college wrestling career comes to an end, unfortunately, one of the things that I hate about that I hate about wrestling is that they have this system at the senior level where for the most prestigious titles, only one representative per country gets in at each weight class. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's really stupid. If you think about any other individual sport, think about tennis, for example. You know how Venus and Serena are both great women's tennis players. Oftentimes they play each other in the Grand Slam finals. Imagine if tennis took the approach of wrestling and either Venus or Serena could compete in Wimbledon, but not both. So you can never have the two of them in a Wimbledon final. Sounds stupid. That's what wrestling does. Think about Jimmy Connors and Pete Sampras. Sounds stupid. It's what wrestling does. Andre Agassi, same thing. So with that being said, for Austin Desanto, I don't know that I'm ever going to see him making the world team for the U.S. And for that reason, if he's going to keep getting this aggression out, either he's going to just kind of work a normal desk job and find a way to maybe train MMA on the side or train jiu-jitsu on the side, or he's going to be a pro MMA fighter, which I think would be an interesting look for him. And I'm sure a lot of the attention he's garnered in his college wrestling career could make him a pretty marketable MMA fighter. So to start right here, what he's doing wrong here, this is both what's being done wrong in a wrestling standpoint, but also a jiu-jitsu standpoint. If someone's got your back with both hooks in, and that's what Daton Fix was doing a lot of. He was doing a lot of these, I think in wrestling they call it a double leg ride, but for jiu-jitsu it's just a back mount with two hooks. You want to be turtle up like this, and especially if they're riding high, you actually want to kind of turtle up and move your hips back, and your chest will be down towards the mat, and then as you come up, you can either try to stand or you can try to shake them off and kind of have him slide off over the top. So why he's even leaning back here, I have no idea what he's doing. This just seems like he's kind of pouting at that. There's really no benefit to him kind of leaning back here. Then Fix just seems like he's in the way with him, so he just kind of puts one arm behind. Doesn't have clasped hands, doesn't even have his hand really that far behind the shoulder. Can't imagine that's choking Desanto out here. Might be a little bit uncomfortable, but this tap out right here, man. Just no. It's rough, man. Like, so for one, Austin, if you're going to if you're gonna defend that and actually like treat it as something, now it's possible that he's just trying to play to the ref and maybe try to get a point taken against Daton Fix here. That might have been what he's going for. Maybe the ref takes him seriously, thinks he's had enough, and he just calls it a default there. You never know. But if you actually are interested in defending yourself here, just instead of tapping the guy's one arm that's across your neck, use that to grab his wrist and pull it down. So pull that hand down towards the mat. He won't be choking you anymore. It really isn't. You can't have that type of choke anyway right here. But just pull on that wrist, pull it down, get free, then get back to a base, kind of have it turtle up like this, and then get your hips up, try to shake them off, and then get out of there. Now, as far as the more famous incident, or I should say infamous. Here we have Austin Desanto, and I'll play it in slow-mo, against Steven Micic. Now at this point, there's about 10 seconds left in the match. And what's kind of crazy about this is that he actually, doing this weird cartwheel, he's actually in a pretty solid position right here. This is like a crucifix position in jiu-jitsu. Now, I have done some wrestling practices against guys who are much better wrestlers than I am. And generally, I'm not going to score takedowns on them. Where I would score is either just on the mat, kind of using some jiu-jitsu stuff that they weren't aware of to hit reversals or even like get some back exposure or pins. Or if they were just taking sloppy takedowns, like a kind of counter takedown, either kind of like go snap down, go behind on a really bad shot, or if they're going for a throw, just kind of like drop my hips and get behind them. But one of the positions that I actually found a lot of success with in the room was a crucifix position, kind of like this. Now for Desanto, if you're actually looking to roll here, one of the reasons I think a lot of wrestlers don't do this, one of it's probably because they don't train it much, because it's not really a common position. It's really not even all that common in jiu-jitsu. A lot of guys who do jiu-jitsu don't really use the crucifix position a whole lot. As far as competition goes, it's not worth any points, but it is a position you can finish from, and it's a position that you can transition into a better position from. So I like using it for that reason. But here, if you actually take this left arm and just hook underneath Micic's left arm, you can try to stuff the head down and kind of roll him over the top. Or if you're not getting any luck there, if you just kind of tuck in right here and then roll over what would be his left shoulder, you could potentially get Micic to roll with you. And then if you can tilt your body and maintain control of this arm right here, you can actually get their shoulders on the mat. Now, was he going to do this with 9 seconds left in the quarterfinal of the NCAAs? Probably not. I think Micic at this point is wise enough to know to just kind of stay on top and not let him roll him. But either way, that's actually an opportunity there that you can kind of apply to wrestling. But either way, he decides he doesn't want to go for position. He just wants to try to rip the guy's arm off, because why the hell not? And so he goes for this Kimura. Now here he kind of has some control of him with this hook in the arm, but he's going to give this up. And if you're going to give that up, what you want to do is have some kind of a guard. Now there's a lot of space underneath here, so he could slip this knee in, just kind of like shrimp in, and either control one leg and go for a Kimura from half guard, or if he can get all the way around and control this hip too, he can go from full guard. I don't know if that's really all that feasible here. Half guard is feasible though, and he doesn't do it. So here he's going to actually lose control of the leg here. These are no longer connected, and Micic is going to get his arm free. And having trouble getting the arm at an angle. Now he does have the arm at the angle, but he no longer has control of Micic's arm. So if you're Steven Micic, or at least if you're an MMA fighter, and we're going to pretend that this is an MMA fighter because I'm talking about what Desanto should do, not in a wrestling tournament, but in an MMA fight after he graduates, just to be clear. But if he is fighting in an MMA fight right here, the guy's probably going to step over here and actually take the arm bar because he has no control over the body. Or they can just do a shoulder roll here and get away. But what Desanto is going to want to do is actually trap this leg here into what's called a half guard. And then you can see it seems almost like he's trying to kick in there, but Micic doesn't seem to really know what he's doing there either, and that's fine. He doesn't have to, but he got that Kimura in a little bit tighter than it really should have been. But to show how to finish a Kimura from half guard, I'll pull up this video here if it wants to load.
I use my left foot to shrimp. The further I shrimp underneath his legs, the tighter his shoulder will hit the floor. Your elbows in nice and tight, and then bring his hand to the back of his head.
Yeah, so that's how you'd want to finish the Kimura from half guard. And if they try to roll through to get out, then you can come up on top as well. Obviously, this is advice for an MMA fight, not advice for a wrestling match. You saw the guy there; his shoulders were on the mat. Now, granted, when he finished, his right shoulder was actually off the mat, and he kind of kept his shoulders on the mat a little while just so he could explain what he's doing. But point being, there's definitely some room to clean up technique if you're Austin Desanto. If you're going to get into MMA, I suggest training some jiu-jitsu during the off season, or at least once you've graduated from college, and hopefully try to keep it clean. Now, obviously, in this case here with the Micic match, he was the one who was the aggressor on the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu standpoint. With the Daton Fix match, he was the one who was playing defense here, as Fix was going for a cheap choke, but can't be tapping here, man. Like, I'll try to give you the benefit of the doubt and say you're just trying to play to the ref, but man, that is a hard look. I have a harder time cheering for you when you're tapping to that than I do when you're just kind of being a little bit of a dick after you win a match. That you can kind of understand, but this tap right here, It's rough.